Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 29 April 2020, a Wednesday afternoon, and I just finished sharpening a knife for my customer Ken in Lee's Summit, Missouri, and he was pretty excited to receive this knife and sent it to me for sharpening in, I believe, new condition. This is a K-bar collaboration with Ethan Becker of Becker Knife and Tool, part of their Master Series. And on the back of this box, it gives us a little explanation of how that all came together. The Master Series, I guess, is intended by K-Bar to be a line of serious tool knives with kind of classic materials and very high craftsmanship. And this one we're going to look at today is pretty cool. My buddy Brian Hill, I think, has been stalking these knives for some time. So I was pretty glad to get one in for sharpening. Just look at that. That knife could be brand new. It could be 50 years old. There's one kind of giveaway, I guess, when you look at the fasteners. But so this is the K-Bar Becker 62, the BK62 Kephart knife, and it comes in a very proper fold-over bushcraft sheath with a belt dangle, nicely welted, nicely riveted, and made in America, as is the knife. So let's take it out of its pouch and see what we got. Look at that. Yeah. Just give that a gander. So you bushcrafters in the audience are well aware that an outdoorsman and author named Horace Kephart set about designing the perfect bushcraft knife, what, about 100 years ago? And he decided it should be a broad spear point blade with a full flat grind. It should be thin in nature, no more than an 1/8 inch in stock thickness, between 4 and 5 inches in length, with a handle shaped like a stick so it fits the human hand perfectly. And Ethan Becker has interpreted the Kephart very well, I think. So let's talk about dimensions first. The blade, a little out of Horace's range. It's 5 1/8 inches long, and I think if I have a complaint about the knife is that it's just a little long for a Kephart. Got a beautiful drawn swedge as the spine plunges to the tip. The handle is a full tang handle, scaled in beautiful walnut. It's not a hafted knife, so the knife is finished, and the scales are finished, and then they're bolted on. So, we're not going to see Bark River type hafting going on. But for 120 or 130 bucks, I'm not sure that's a big deal. These scales will be removable, obviously. So if you did take this knife on an excursion where it got wet and maybe put away wet, and you wanted to make sure you didn't have any rust issues under the scales, I believe this would facilitate cleaning and oiling. Thickness of the handle is about 5/8 of an inch at its widest point. Now the blade stock, and remember, the original Kephart design needed to be an 1/8 of an inch at most, preferably about 3/32. The K-Bar Becker BK62 uses 150 thousandths stock. I actually measured this just behind the plunge grind at 152. But then you'll notice the spine has been violated purposely. So the thickness at the spine is actually 130 thousandths, so just over 1/8 of an inch, and then quite a bit of distal taper if you gaze down that spine. The full flat grind is absolutely intact, and it terminates at a pretty thin dimension behind the edge. You'll notice my bevel not very broad. I did this at 19 degrees per side to give it some stability in its intended purpose working in wood. Blade steel is 1095 Crovan. So a little sprinkling of chromium and vanadium to aid carbide formation, and a wisp of rust resistance. So why, I don't know why Ethan Becker decided to go with thicker stock than really needed to be, until I kind of checked the balance point of the knife, which is hard to find, but it's actually there. It's right on that front fastener, right in the finger groove. And if you're, forward on the knife and you did happen to loosen your grip, it sort of wants to fall into the palm rather than nose down, which is good. You don't want to drop your knife, especially edge down. The walnut is finished in kind of a matte finish with kind of an oiled treatment. Don't believe there's any stain in that. Just feels like almost like a tongue oil finish. Pretty cool. And then a gorgeous stone wash, which is going to hide scratches and scrapes and wear very nicely. Don't have to worry about refinishing it. You just let it grow old and show off its battle scars. I love the Horace Kephart signature. Very cool. Just a nicely crafted Kephart. Well, how is it in hand? Well, in the hammer grip, it's like a Kephart, perfect. You can actually wrap the thumb over that chamfered scale nose and get a really powerful grip, maybe for feather sticks or other bushcraft type operations. In the draw cut grip, it's absolutely perfect. In the pinch grip, and this is where I think the blade seems a little long. Not that that's a real common grip for a bushcraft knife, but then that vertical draw cut grip, the handle just melts into the fat of your hand. It's great. I think the flare at the front of the handle is probably something Horace didn't intend, but I certainly think it helps. It helps you index your grip. It gives you a nice surface to rest your thumb on in that sort of forward hammer grip. Love it. Well, did it get sharp? I don't know. Did it get sharp? Well, it's 1095, guys. You could even push cuts. Let's see. Yeah. It got sharp. Not a super high polished edge on this one. I just didn't think it fit. So it's sharpened to 1100 grit on the Edge Pro Diamond Matrix stones, and then just stropped at 2 microns. Kind of bitey, kind of toothy, kind of sharp. Still got a little bit of bling if that's important to you. Now at the base of the edge, I really didn't try to make that sharp and crisp as it meets the plunge grind. If you notice, the plunge has a little radius to it. And the original factory sharpening had a little bit of radius in this direction. And I didn't want to crisp that up because you don't want to create stress, sharp 90-degree angles at the knife's weakest point, which that is. So I didn't try to get dead straight all the way to the back. Just kind of let it fall where it may. It's still sharp all the way back, guys. Pretty cool product. I found these as low as like $119.95 up to $129.95 online. They're widely available. Is it a $200 Kephart? No, but it's also not in that $50 or $60 black crinkle coat K-bar category either. It's definitely comfortably in between those, and I think old guys who kind of appreciate old knives with history are going to like this modern interpretation. I know I do. I'm going to put it back in its box and ship it to Missouri so Ken can start enjoying it. That is all for this one, my friends. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Remember, the Word and Ken's BK62 are sharp.